Time for the market analysis for this week, and joining me on the program this day is Elizabeth Wangechi from NIC Securities. Thanks for joining us, Elizabeth.
Thank you for hosting me.
Well, the markets have been very volatile for the last few weeks.
Yes.
Perhaps let's begin by looking at the NSE 20 share index. It has been at about 2,439 points.
Yes.
And of course, this comes on the back of CBK governor saying that the economy still remains resilient despite some shocks that we continue to weather. But from your assessment, how are the markets?
I think the market, actually looking at the numbers, the market has been quite stable, I would say, the last 1 week or so. We've seen a bit of foreign investors averaging about 70%. So it's on a net buying position. So we've seen a lot of interest on the key counters, Safaricom, KCB, Barclays and Cooperative, and mostly it's on a buying position. So there's that interest because, again, our market has been quite discounted for a long time, looking at where even the multiples are compared to historical multiples.
All right.
Yes.
And of course, this gives the explanation to how the index has been performing at the end of the day.
Yes. All the indexes, looking at the all share index, the 20 share index. So there's a bit of increase on that end, and it's because now there's that interest in on the buying activity.
All right.
Yeah.
And looking at the numbers, Liz, you get to see one of the stocks that has been a top gainer this week is, of course, Bamburi Cement. The stock is up by 9.57% with a valuation price of 94 shillings. And just this week, we did see Bamburi also announcing a partnership they've entered with Vivo Energy. But looking at the fundamentals of Bamburi, the construction industry hasn't been with a lot of activity, but Bamburi seems to still survive the tide.
Yes, if you look at the recent half-year numbers that they recently released ending June 2019, we saw an increase in the profit after tax, and they benefited from a tax refund because they had capacity expansions both in Kenya and Uganda. So, but if you look at now the performance, the revenue, it was flat. The costs, definitely the costs were higher, but the strategy going forward is to contain costs and now try to just grow the revenue base because the cement industry has been contracting over the period in Kenya and also in Uganda. So there's also that now the shrinkage in the sector, now definitely now topping up to the revenues just being flat. But overall,
sorry, carry on.
Yeah, overall, the price at 90-something is definitely attractive. It's never been at that range. So the valuation still portrays there's an upside potential. It's just now that the story, the market and the environment is not favoring them.
I like your explanation, Liz, and you're saying there's an upside potential at a time when we're also seeing a lot of interest, especially in the affordable housing campaign by the government, which seems to be slowly gaining momentum.
Yes.
Is this likely to spur demand?
It is definitely, but at a slower pace. With the big four agenda being housing, definitely now Bamburi Cement would benefit from that.
All right.
Yes.
And Liz, let's shift gears a bit right now and take a look at our top losers for this week. We have Umeme Limited, of course, there's also BOC Kenya, Express Kenya, and East African Cables. Liz, I know East African Cables continues to be a very interesting stock.
Yes.
But just briefly touching on East Africa Cables, perhaps what is the company doing right? Because we are seeing they're slowly bouncing back to profitability.
Yes, we recently saw their recent debt restructuring program, which will now help them in terms of reducing the interest payments over the period. And also now it will free up a bit of their cash flows now into investing into helping in terms of their working capital. So overall, we'd expect to see their productivity from the plants to increase. And looking at even the market, though it's very competitive, we feel that East Africa Cable has quite a bit of a market share in the industry. So with the regional expansion also, it's a plus for them. So give it a bit, 2-3 years, and then we'll definitely see a change in it. Yes.
And Liz, I don't know if this week you followed the CBK governor in terms of his sentiments around what's happening in the economy and of course globally. But let's touch on a very interesting stock. This is Mumias Sugar.
Yes.
This stock was suspended this week from trading at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. And of course, this is premised on the fact that they were placed under receivership by Kenya Commercial Bank, KCB. And one of the reasons was that they have mounting debt.
Oh, debt, yes.
Is it still a viable company?
Well, definitely. Right now, you cannot trade because it's suspended. So that now leaves all the shareholders who've been holding onto the stock now just to wait for the information. But looking at the history of where Mumias, where the challenges begin is more on corporate governance, the debt. If you look at what they've been doing, the production, it's at zero. So the debt also, it's a big challenge that they've been having. So it definitely requires a bit of task, maybe support from the government in terms of just adding more capital and sort of like helping them to clear off. But as it is now, even for the shareholders who had it, they are trading more on a speculative basis, not on a fundamental or on a positive story or the strategy. So it was more on speculation. So there needs a lot to be done on the company.
Do you think what can get Mumias out of where it is, will it require a bailout, or is just a question of selling off this company?
It will. There are many strategies that you can do to a falling company. You can look for a private investor, maybe do a privatization. Government can bail them out. Just maybe look for a private investor, because the sugar industry is quite wide, and it's something that all the households are probably using. So it's quite a key commodity that we need. So should they get any assistance, because there are many avenues that they can get the funding from. Yeah, not just a question from the government.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth Wangechi from NIC Securities.
Thank you.
Just giving us perspective into how the markets have been this week. Let's take a quick look at Markets 101 for this week. Well, time now for my favorite segment, and that is Question on the Street. Today we're getting our question from our social media platforms, and our question today is from Annette, who is asking, what is the difference between swing trading and day trading? Perhaps, Liz, what does this mean for the traders?
Okay. For day trading, it's a strategy where the traders can purchase or sell a security and close the position within that day, ensuring that they're making a profit. The swing trading is where a trader normally uses a strategy where they can, say, close the deal in 2 or 3 or more days, ensuring that they're making a profit. So it's just a matter of the difference in time.
Well, thank you so much, Liz, for giving us your very deep answers on this particular question, and we encourage you to continue engaging with us on our social media platforms. For now, we want to take you down memory lane, and this is Historical Fact for this week. Well, that brings us to the end of the program for today. Thank you for your valid company, and we do hope that you've been able to learn a thing or two, especially from markets analysis. Well, it's time for us to pave the way and give you time to relax as you enjoy your weekend. Liz, perhaps you do still have the old notes. We need to go spend them.
Most definitely.
All right. So that's where we leave it at on the program this week. My name is Abi Agina. Keep engaging with us on our social media platforms appearing at the bottom of the screen. And you can also engage me at Agina Abi. And of course, keep it locked on KTN News. We need to spend those old notes now.